Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Validity Podcast. I am your host, Valentina Rodriguez, and I am so excited for today's episode. It's another mini episode because we're taking a small break from like the full OG episodes until the fall semester starts again, and I have a fresh batch of knowledge, of lectures, of lessons, of content to share with you guys and to teach you guys. So until then, it is another mini episode, but I am especially excited for today because we have some updates. So I am filming this episode on Tuesday, July 30th. And 4 days ago, on Friday, July 26th, I became an IFBB pro. I literally have chills saying that. I know that I've given you guys small prep updates throughout all the episodes. And I've updated my YouTube and my Instagram with like the rest of the updates. And you guys know I've tried to contextualize also a lot of the lessons, a lot of the lectures, a lot of the like scientific material that we've covered on this podcast. I've tried to contextualize some of those within my own prep if there was overlap and if it was at all applicable. So I feel like you guys have gotten a really unique perspective, very limited, but unique perspective into my prep and into my journey. And you guys know how badly I've wanted this. You guys know the plateaus I've faced, implementation of refeeds, cardio going up, digging, pushing, failing, choosing to continue, winning, and now here we are. I'm your host, Valentina Rodriguez, IFBB Pro. Only thing missing is PhD. So got to switch gears and start working on those applications. But that's my personal update, a huge personal update if I do say so myself. But I am officially an IFBB Pro. And I don't know if I'll ever get tired of saying that. I hope you guys don't get tired of hearing that because I'll probably continue saying it until I believe it because it truly, last night I was going to bed and I genuinely was like, watch me wake up and all of this was a dream. Like I had convinced myself that this entire past weekend was a dream because I won my pro card at the USA Championships, the Muscle Contest USA Championships. It was in Anaheim, California, like an hour south of LA. So we flew into LAX, Gretchen and I did. You guys know her. She's one of the research coordinators. She works with me in Dr. Campbell's lab, the Performance and Physique Enhancement Lab. She's another coordinator. She really spearheaded the reverse dieting survey study that we've referred to in multiple episodes. She's writing up the manuscript for that now. She presented that at ISSN at the conference. So she's like she's one of my favorite human beings. And I'm so lucky that she came with me, that she was there to support me. So we flew across the country to Los Angeles and met my other best friend, Erin, there. Erin had like my groceries waiting for me, had everything I needed waiting for me. They both made the weekend the most special thing ever. And after the Friday show, we got to celebrate together. And then we drove up to West Hollywood and we spent the day there, went to brunch, went to Rodeo Drive, went to dinner, chilled at the hotel in like our robes. It was the most perfect weekend. And last night I was like, no, that was literally a dream. Like I'm literally going to wake up tomorrow and back to the grind, back to the road to pro because I just could not believe that it happened. And let that be a testament to working so fucking hard and working so fucking hard for a really long time. My first competition was 7 years ago and that was 18 competitions ago. It took me 7 years and 18 competitions, but you bet your ass that I've been wanting this even before I stepped on that first stage. So really it's like 8 years that I've been wanting this, 7 years that I've been actively trying to get it, 18 competitions it took me to earn that pro card. And I only ever experienced one overall win before this season. And I had never placed in a national show. So statistically speaking, the cards were not in my favor. The odds were not stacked in my favor. But I continued to choose to try to outwork those odds because I know, all it takes is one win, like all it takes is one success for you to get there. So I didn't care that I had 17 previous failures. I didn't care that I had 17 previous attempts that didn't get me any closer to that pro card. I mean, the 17 show was my overall win in Orlando. So that one was actually a win. So 16 previous failures. I mean, if you told me when I didn't even qualify for nationals, when I got 7th out of 11 girls at the Miami show earlier this season on June 1st, if you told me that less than 2 months later, after not even qualifying for nationals at a regional show, if you told me that 2 months later I was going to be an IFBB pro, I wouldn't have believed you. I pretty much lost all hope, but I chose to continue to believe in that one tiny little sliver that was left. And I tried to amplify that as much as I could and just lean into the work. I don't care if I don't believe in me right now. I have to believe in the work because I know objectively that was the only thing that was going to get me there. So Oh, I did not mean to like get on a soapbox and turn this into like a motivational talk, but we did it. And one thing that I'm really proud of, and I hope you guys don't think that I'm just getting on here to like flex because I really just want to update you guys, but I also want to share like what I think is like a valuable story perspective. I don't know. Another thing that I'm really, really proud of is that I earned this pro card while prepping through leading the world's first reverse dieting study, while taking on a huge responsibility of coordinating. I think we have had over 1,000 inquiries. Like, this is a very high volume, large scale study that I am leading. Like, I am the point person. So earning this pro card while prepping through such a big responsibility in like my professional life, I am so proud of that. And also while taking summer grad courses and getting A+ in both of them. I actually got 100 in my second grad course. That my final project was like 24 pages. There was a final presentation that was like 30 slides. There was another paper I had to write that was like 8 or something pages. It was a lot. And it was also towards the end of my prep where I was operating off of like 0.001 brain cells and I was dead and I had no energy for anything else. And I mean, obviously a lot of things had to give, like my social life, like my personality gave a little bit. Like I was not my super bubbly, high energy self, but I made sacrifices that I needed to in order to be able to divert my limited energy. I mean, energy is a resource and I had to divert my limited energy across my priorities, which were my role as a study coordinator, my role as a grad student, and my role as a bodybuilder and as a coach, because obviously I have my girls, I have my clients, and that's not something that I'm ever gonna let slip through the cracks. So I'm really, really proud. Like, I am really proud that I was able to kind of balance all the things that mattered to me. And again, it did come with sacrifice at the expense of my social life, of my personality, of other things, but I knew that there was a time where those would get more energy, and right now wasn't that time. So it really is a lot about, I think people think balance is kind of having an equal piece of the pie of everything at all times. And so to me, that's a very myopic view of balance. And what I think balance is if you step back, you'll notice that over a large period of time, everything does end up getting equal distribution of energy invested into it, but not all at the same time. Like, my social life did not get the energy invested into it that it deserved for the past few months. But now I'm switching gears and my social life will probably get more energy invested into it. And my, the amount of time and energy that I invest into cardio and being perfectly precise and prepping, all that obviously is going to take a small step back because I'm no longer on prep. I no longer need that level of precision, of execution, of adherence. I mean, do not get me wrong. I am very much like ticking every single box. Like, I'm already back on my reverse. I have killed my macros to the gram. I have killed my protocol to the gram since starting my reverse yesterday. I did enjoy the weekend. Also, don't get me wrong on that. I ate good, let me tell you. So good. But I'm now entering a different phase of my life where other things are going to get energy poured into them that I wasn't pouring into previously. And things that took up all my energy now might require less energy. And so if I step back and I look at all of 2024, I'm going to see, wow, I kind of did give equal energy to everything, but over the course of the year. It wasn't that I gave equal energy to everything all at the exact same amount of time. And I think that that's kind of the different perspective on balance that I have, that I think not everyone might agree with, but also not everyone might realize is a very valid implementation of the concept of balance. Anyways, so obviously that's my biggest update. IFBB Pro, done with prep. I'm not doing a pro debut immediately. I'm going into an off season. I'm going to grow. My feedback was just a touch more upper outer glute. My upper body was not too big, but because it is overpowering, or it honestly might be too big according to my coach. But that wasn't my specific feedback from Sandy, but because my glutes need to grow a little bit more, it probably makes my glutes look smaller because my upper body's bigger. That being said, we're entering a growing phase. So very excited to get my food up, to have my cardio down. It's already significantly down, to just get, like a weekly free meal and be able to do girl dinners and date nights and just have more flexibility, pour more into my social life, like I just said. So I'm very, very excited for all of that to come, to be able to like prioritize and like approach my academic goals, my PhD applications, my role within this massive reverse dieting study, to be able to approach those things with like energy and vigor that I didn't previously have. Like, I still obviously executed all those things with quality work ethic, but it took everything out of me to provide that. And now hopefully it'll be a little bit more effortless to show up to those areas of my life with excitement and vigor and energy. And also to just have my energy back for my clients. Like, I did my best to show up for them, but I don't doubt that they're used to seeing me just with a little bit more spunk on my check-in videos and a little bit more energy. So getting to just show up an even better coach for them now that I have the energy and the capacity for that, I'm very excited. So, and also now that prep is done, I do have more space on my coaching roster. So if you guys are interested on working together one-on-one, I will put my coaching application below. And you can also just email me directly at my coaching email. Sometimes that's quicker because I have been having a lot of technical difficulties with this coaching application. Like people will tell me that they applied and I cannot find their application anywhere. So honestly, email me at my coaching email, which I will link in the description if you want to work together, because I do have a couple more spots opening now that my schedule is just freeing up because I don't have hours and hours of cardio and I'm not on prep and this and that. So the only other update that I have for you guys is reverse dieting study wise. We are still taking on subjects. Our recruitment is still open. It is rolling recruitment. So if you're interested in participating in the world's first reverse dieting intervention study and undergoing a maintenance, a dieting, and a post-dieting phase, then please email reversedietstudy@gmail.com and we will get back to you with more information on the study as well as eligibility forms to determine whether you're eligible to be a subject. And then we'll go from there. So I think those are all my updates. I do start the fall semester in a month, just under a month. So like I said, we will be taking a small hiatus from new episodes just so I can reorganize myself and officially start season 2 with fresh lecture material, fresh studies, all of that. But today I didn't just want to do an update episode. I did want to still provide some value. So I dug through all my old notes and I actually realized that this was a lecture that I kind of overlooked because I have 6 lines of notes taken on this lecture. And I guess I previously overlooked it because I was like, okay, that's obviously not a full episode, but it actually might be something that we should talk about. It's not a study, it's not anything, but it was a small lecture that we were given at the beginning of the Science of Physique Enhancement class that I helped facilitate my first semester at USF last fall. And this was a lecture on determining your maintenance calories. And I was doing my cardio this morning and I was going through all my old lectures trying to figure out what am I going to lecture on today in this podcast episode? Like what can I share that I haven't already that I think will be valuable and pertinent? And I realized that I get asked a lot, like, how do I know how much I'm supposed to eat? And that question I get so often. What should I be eating? How much should I be eating? And it is so devoid of context, and context is everything. But when it comes to determining what you should be eating, what you should be doing, the context that matters is first and foremost, what are you doing now? What are you eating now? How much are you eating now? How is your body responding to that? Your body is going to be calibrated to whatever you're currently doing now, okay? And then secondly, what are your goals? So your goals, if they're to lose weight, you need to be in a deficit. So if you are currently maintaining, your body's not gaining weight, it's not losing weight, you're going to need to reduce calories from your current intake. If you want to gain weight, and again, you're not gaining, you're not losing, you're just maintaining, doing whatever you're currently doing, then you need to eat more than what you're currently eating, okay? But how do you know how much to add, how much to take away? All of that is relative to your current intake, to your current maintenance intake. And so this entire lecture is about how do we determine your maintenance? How do we determine your current maintenance intake so that you have a baseline to work off of? Because once you have that maintenance intake, once you know your current maintenance, then you can increase food, increase cardio, decrease cardio to play around with your deficit and or surplus to then tailor your new intake to your goals. So we have 2 approaches that we discussed in Dr. Campbell's class. One is the quick approach, which is probably the least recommended. And the other one takes a little bit of time, but it's going to be way more individualized to you. So the quick approach is to use a formula or an equation online. I do not ever vouch for this. And I don't personally implement this when I'm working with a new client. My first thing that I do is I try to find their maintenance, and I will never use an equation, ever. That being said, I'm not going to sit here and pull up random links that are not verified, that I haven't personally used, that I haven't anything. Like, I'm not going to sit here and recommend something that I have no basis for that recommendation. But I will say, if you are really like, no, I need to know my maintenance and I need to know it now, and I want to use an equation and I want to use a formula, the only one that I can with some confidence recommend, and not full confidence because we haven't tested it yet, is the NIH body weight planner. So the National Institute of Health has a body weight planner that helps you calculate your maintenance intake. And the only reason that I'm recommending this one specifically is because as a lab team, we did a lot of background research on this specific calculator, and we're actually using this as one of the intervention arms in our reverse dieting study. We haven't done the study, so we cannot speak to the efficacy of this specific calculator at predicting a maintenance intake, but it does seem to be the most vetted, the most verified, the most supported by literature. However, I am not saying that this is my recommendation with full confidence. I'm saying if you have to use a calculator and you are gung-ho about using an online calculator to determine your maintenance intake, this is the only one that I would say, if you're going to use one, use this one. But my recommendation is still to go the second option. So I will link the NIH Body Weight Planner Maintenance Intake Calculator in the description below. So you can always play around with that, get a number, and then do option 2, which I'm about to explain, and then you can kind of cross-reference and you can do your own little experiment. You can try eating at what the maintenance calculator tells you and then see if your body weight goes up or goes down, or if you do indeed maintain. So you can also obviously use that as like a starting point, but then kind of move into option 2. And option 2 is essentially figuring out what you're currently eating by not changing a single thing and tracking everything as you normally do. And in this option, we essentially instruct clients and instruct subjects, because this is the maintenance determination method that we use in our reverse dieting study. It's what I use with my own clients. And it's just do everything as you normally do. Record all your calories and your macros. Eat the same things that you normally would eat. If you're not a very consistent eater and you change your food a lot, then you're going to need more days of data. I personally recommend 2 weeks. That's what Dr. Campbell recommends. That's what we're implementing in the study, is a minimum of a 2-week average with 2 weeks of weight stability. Because if we want to find your maintenance, that means whatever you're eating is not causing you to gain weight and it's not causing you to lose weight. So we need 2 weeks of weight stability. So taking your average of your body weights from week 1, taking your average of your body weights from week 2, and making sure that they're not deviating within more than 1.5% of each other. That would be a 2-week weight stability achieved. So for the second option, what you do essentially is you wake up and you say, what would I normally have for breakfast? You have that, but you track it. You weigh out what you would normally eat. You put it into MyFitnessPal or any other tracking software that you prefer. I personally use MyFitnessPal with all my clients. It's what we are recommending for the reverse dieting study. You put it in there, then comes time for what you would normally have as your snack, what you would normally have as your pre-workout meal or your lunch or your post-workout meal or your dinner or your nightcap or your last snack or your little drink or your little Starbucks. Like, track everything as you normally would. Put that into MyFitnessPal and then wake up the next morning and weigh in and log that data somewhere. Repeat that the next day. Track everything you eat, weigh in the next day, track that, log that, continue. After 1 full week, take an average. Do that again for another week. Why? Because especially if you're not used to tracking and you don't currently know your maintenance, you need adequate data in order to be able to pull averages, because weight fluctuates so much daily. If you're not like a super consistent eater that eats very, very similarly every single day, then your intake is going to have a lot of variability. And so the more data points that you have, the more representative the average is. And then once all your data is recorded, you can calculate your full 2-week average, given that you're not significantly dropping weight or significantly gaining weight. Because sometimes what happens is people think they're eating everything that as they normally do, but because they don't normally track, they might be more like snacky or grazy normally. And then when they start trying to track their maintenance, they actually end up under eating compared to their normal intake. And then they end up losing weight. And then therefore, that's not your maintenance intake, that's a deficit. So trying to also correct for that or keep going until your weight does stabilize. So when it comes to that first question that I brought up, that's what I get asked very often, which is, how much should I be eating? My follow-up question is going to be, well, what's your goal and what's your baseline? This is baseline. Finding out your current maintenance is imperative for you to be able to make changes off of. The more accurate and closely calibrated to reality your starting point maintenance intake is that you can find, the better and more meticulous and more precise the changes that you can make for your goals will be. I don't know if that was like proper English, the way I worded that, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of something that I think I take for granted, because I do this every single time I get a new client. We do this with every single subject in the reverse dieting study. We tell them the first step of being a part of the study is track everything that you eat, put it into the spreadsheet that we share with you. Don't change anything. Don't change your training. Don't change your cardio. Don't change what you normally eat. Track everything you eat. give us the data, give us the body weights every single day. And then we do calculations to figure out when they reach 2 weeks of weight stability. If they start dropping weight, then we adjust their maintenance intake and we say, okay, now try this until we reach 2 weeks of weight stability so that we can get an accurate average. So we keep them going if we need to. If they're dropping weight, we keep increasing their maintenance. If they're gaining weight, we decrease their maintenance as needed. But that's only after they've given us 2 weeks of data of them tracking every single thing as they would normally do it, eat it, train it, live it. So, to recap, whenever you want to approach your fitness goal, whether that's putting on muscle, putting on body fat, taking off body fat, recomping, doing a show, doing a growing season, whatever your goal may be, you're going to have to change and manipulate your intake and your expenditure in some way, shape, or form. And those changes occur relative to your baseline starting point. So the very first step before you can even think about what changes you need to make is determining that baseline starting point. And that is your current maintenance intake. And you can do that by one of two ways. Option one, the quick approach, is to use a formula or an equation online. And the only one that I will even remotely recommend is the NIH Body Weight Planner that is linked in the description below. The other one, which takes a little bit longer because you need adequate data points, you need at least 2 weeks of doing this, and most people are impatient, but I'm telling you right now, the accuracy and the individualization of this method is going to be worth it, which is taking 2 weeks to record everything that you eat, track everything you eat, track your body weight every single day, and then pull averages of your body weight, and then you can pull the averages from the past 2 weeks. If you reach 2 weeks of weight stability, then average out how many carbs you were eating over the past 2 weeks, average out how many fats you were eating over the past 2 weeks, average out how much protein you were eating the past 2 weeks, average out your total caloric intake over the past 2 weeks. And that average from the past 2 weeks, assuming that you reached weight stability, those averages of your carbs, fats, proteins, and calories, that is your new maintenance intake. The last kind of hybrid approach that you can do is do the formula calculation from the NIH calculator, consume the maintenance it tells you, and then weigh yourself every single day while consuming that maintenance, and then check, are you dropping weight? Okay, you need to increase. That calculator was clearly underestimating. Are you gaining weight? Okay, you need to drop food. That calculator was obviously overestimating. And I still recommend kind of cross-referencing it and not just plugging in the numbers and then running with the number it gives you. I would still ensure, by trying to consume at the maintenance that it gives you, ensure that it is indeed a maintenance intake for you. So I really hope that helps with this question that, like I said, I get asked very often, which is just how much am I supposed to be eating? What am I supposed to be doing? And it's just very devoid of context. And the context is, well, what's your goal and what are you doing now? So very first step of pretty much anything. Anytime I work with a client, a new subject in the study, my mom asking me questions, like somebody on the street asking me questions, I cannot answer that until I have the data of like, what are you doing now? So this is step one of your goals, is determining your maintenance calories, determining your maintenance intake. So I hope these approaches helped. Again, I'm going to link everything that I can below. As far as everything else, again, if you want to be a part of the reverse dieting intervention study, email reversedietstudy@gmail.com. If you want to keep up with my first pro off season and road to Olympia, then follow the Instagram, which is a new handle. It is at VallFitt_IFBB Pro. Feels so good to say that. My Orlando overall win show day vlog is live on my YouTube, and my pro card win show day vlog will be up within the next week or two. I just got to get on it and edit that, but I need to prioritize research and podcast first. And I will most likely see you guys in the fall for season 2 of the Validity podcast. But if any studies come out, I come across anything that I'm like, no, this is something that I think people need to learn about, need to hear, then I will pick up my mic, I will pick up my headphones, and I will drop an episode, and I will make sure to post it on my podcast Instagram and on my personal Instagram so that you guys know that a new episode did come out. But more likely than not, I will see you guys in like 3 weeks for the first episode of season 2, starting my second full year of grad school and sharing everything I learned with you guys. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I am so grateful to have you guys here along for the ride. I am so just in disbelief of everything from the past weekend and the past few weeks. And I'm eternally grateful and just honored to get to have this platform as well to share science and to teach you guys, because I think that this is definitely one of the most, if not the most fulfilling things I've ever done, which says a lot considering that I just did the most fulfilling thing I've ever done this past weekend. And this still is something that fills my heart like beyond belief, beyond compare. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to email me, DM me, ask me any questions, tell me any topics you want me to cover, FAQs, clarify anything, go over any studies, etc. And until then, I will see you guys in the next episode.